Hey, Angela.
Hello, I'm feeling a little lonely here. Where are you?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, where's Waldo today? So I'm I'm actually in Guerneville on the Russian River, and I'm spending the weekend camping with a bunch of my friends, and but I didn't want to miss this podcast, and I really wanted to hear our guests, so I made a point, and so where I'm standing here actually is in front of the beach access on this little road and going in Guerneville, and it's probably going to be a little distracting. People are walking by me with their kids and little boats and boogie boards and all kinds of crazy things. So anyway, just we'll make the best of it. It's a live shot. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
School's out for
We'll
summer.
make
You
it
got to
work.
have a good time and get your work done too.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm excited about this. This is a topic I'm really stoked for this. So I'm happy to be here. How are you doing?
Doing well today. I did get woken up
Yeah.
at 3 a.m. by a 7-year-old. So we got an early start to the day, but got all the worms today, I guess. And we have two really cool news updates for everybody.
Great.
Talk about the debt ceiling?
Yeah. Let's do that.
The debt ceiling has been resolved. 2 weeks ago, we talked about it here on the podcast, and with pretty minimal fanfare, they managed to get it done. Of course, we do still, need to deal with the national debt. It's an ongoing issue, but for now, we are safe. We're not defaulting on our debt. Everyone's getting paid.
Yep. Crisis avoided. But, I think we don't have any clients that got out of the market or anything or reacted to it in advance or did, forward planning and trying to avoid it. They all stuck with their program. And I really want to, honor people because there was a lot of press and a lot of hype about it. And they were trying to scare people and people were a little bit frightened, but they hung in there, and to their credit. So go team.
Proud of our folks.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing that hit the news today is the IRS just announced increases to the amount that you can contribute to a health savings account. And for 2024, it's the biggest increase we've ever seen. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about these health savings accounts and what the contribution limits look like for folks right now. They are probably the most misunderstood and underused tool that we have for planning for the future. So I'll read out some numbers here. In 2024, you will be able to contribute $8,300 for a family and $4,150 for an individual. Wow. This year, 2023, that's a huge jump.
Yeah.
This year, it's $7,750 for a family and $3,850 for an individual. If you're over 55, you get an extra $1,000, and that amount does not change. And now, why would you want to do this? Well, health savings accounts, you put money in today and you get this trifecta of tax benefits. It's like, from a tax standpoint, it's the best tool available to us in the world. So all contributions made to the HSA are pre-tax or tax deductible, depending on how you do them. All of the money that you pull out to pay for medical expenses comes out tax-free, kind of like a Roth IRA. And then all of the earnings that you get on your HSA, interest, dividends, capital gains over time are not taxed ever. And you can actually invest in HSA. So you could be growing this money at a pretty good clip and never pay taxes. Plus you got a deduction on the way in. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Think about it this way. It's really helpful as a retirement planning tool because you can use this to pay your medical expenses post-retirement, including your Part B Medicare premiums. So let's say in the last 10 years leading up to retirement, if a married couple max this out, they can have $100,000 sitting in a health savings account that they can access tax-free to pay medical expenses, including, long-term care premiums.
Yep.
Now, who can contribute to this? You have to have a high deductible health plan. According to the IRS, that is a deductible of at least $1,500 for an individual and $3,000 for a family. If you have a plan like that and your employer doesn't offer a health savings account that you can do through payroll withdrawals, you can go ahead and just set one up yourself and start contributing to it. And of course, you can invest it. So this was great news coming from the IRS this morning, and we're really excited to hear it. We hope more people take advantage of these accounts.
Yep. And there's one other thing I would add is that you could save up your medical expenses and access the HSA in the future and for expenses you had in prior years. So you can save them up, and if say you want to use the money to go on vacation or something, as long as you've saved up your expenses in prior years, you can use them to pay those back, ostensibly, but you're actually using it to go on vacation. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a really good tool. Yeah.
That's a good point. You can really play
yeah,
with these.
Yeah, you can. So, okay, well, welcome to A Place of Possibility. We are happy to have you here today. I am Richard Del Monte.
And I'm Angela Wright.
Thanks for being here. So
today, I'm super excited. We have a guest here. We are talking about adulting, and specifically, what sort of legal matters do we need to tend to the day we become an adult at age 18? And I'll tell you what, this is on no one's radar. Many parents and grandparents are not paying attention to this, and it should be. So to help us explore the solution, our guest today is estate planning attorney Laura Patton. Laura has been designing estate plans, emphasizing living trusts in the San Francisco Bay Area for 3 decades. Over the last several years, her practice has transitioned into assisting her clients' families after the death of a loved one by means of administering a living trust privately or using the public court probate system for those assets that were left unprotected by a trust. Laura's calling has been to help families stay together in spite of the stress of handling these transitions. One of her skills is guiding people through difficult topics that are taboo in many families, such as deciding about end-of-life care, distributing prized family heirlooms, and protecting the dignity of elders at risk of scams due to memory problems. She loves connecting people with resources in the local community because the Bay Area is rich with dedicated professionals and organizations to help seniors. Laura earned her undergraduate degree from Tulane University in New Orleans, where she graduated summa cum laude as a member of Phi Beta Kappa. She studied law at UC Law San Francisco, formerly known as the Hastings Law College, and she is married with 3 young adult children. Laura, welcome to A Place of Possibility. Thank you so much. How are you?
I am well, and thank you for having me so much. I really appreciate it, Angela and Richard.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah. So Laura, tell us about the problem.
Yeah, so the problem that I have seen in my 3 decades of practicing estate planning is I would work with parents whose kids are going off to college, and those parents maybe would have a problem where those children would maybe they've got a student who got hurt. That student got hurt and went to the emergency room, and they were unable to work with the doctors. And why? Well, it's because we have a very strong privacy law called the HIPAA law, which is all about protecting a medical patient's privacy. So if you've got an 18-year-old who's in the emergency room and can't speak for themselves, their doctor is going to continue the care to do everything they can to help that person, but they're not going to be able to discuss the condition of your child with you unless your child has already signed the correct paperwork in advance, giving that consent. So who thinks about this? Very few, right? So when I would work with parents who've got college-age kids, I would always bring it up, and we'd take care of it as part of handling their trust, their will, all of the other ancillary estate planning documents. We'd do the correct documents for their young adults at that time. So the challenge that I had was when a parent came to me and said, my estate plan is up to date, but my child is now heading off to college. What do we do? And so for me to prepare those documents for their college student heading off to college, I've got to talk to the college student. I've got to talk to the parents. I've got to prepare the documents. We've got to get them notarized. Then we've got to discuss more what to do with those documents. So for me, it became a problem from a value standpoint. I want to help the parents. I want to help the students too. But how do we do that in a value way when it takes 2 to 3 or more hours of my time to do? And that could cost somebody, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, and it's just too expensive. So I was like, wow, how could I solve this problem? So that's what I've come out. That's what I've decided to do. About a year and a half ago, I started developing this service, which is a legal document service for young adults. And the goal is to provide these documents that are high high quality, custom drafted, professional legal documents for young adults. I mean, they're designed exactly for young adults without the high price tag.
Yeah. This is
Brilliant.
a brilliant idea and addresses a huge issue. So you created the service. Tell us about Scholar Shield.
Yeah. So it's really where the germ of the idea came from was that when my own son went off to college, he went to the University of Minnesota and he studied chemical engineering there. And he was a freshman. He stayed up late one night, was doing video games, slept in till who knows, about noon the next day, took a hot shower, came back, and he fainted and whacked his head on a piece of furniture, like the corner of the dorm bed. And he was sprawled out unconscious on the floor of his dorm. I was just, when I found out what happened, I was very upset and trying to help him. And what happened was his suite mates found him, took him to the emergency room, and then they called me. Luckily, they had my number, right? Not everybody has their suite mates' parents' phone number, but they did have that at least.
Yeah.
So I said, well, could you hand the phone to the doctor, please? The doctor said, I can't talk to you. And here I am. I'm an estate planning attorney. Man. I didn't have the documents for my own son. I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
Any parent's nightmare.
Yeah. So I was also really upset. I was frustrated. I wanted to know what was going on. My son had a concussion. He was not quite in his right mind. He was confused. He got better, luckily. But at that moment, it was a horrible, it was just a shot to my heart. Why can't I help my son?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the loss.
And as a parent, is there anything worse to feel than helpless when your child needs you? Oh,
exactly.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So that's where the idea came from. And I thought, I've got to do something to fix this problem. It's taken me a while, but.
So how do these documents actually protect young adults? What do they do?
Great question. So there's two aspects. One is the healthcare side. So when you think about the estate planning documents you might have for yourself, you probably have an advanced directive for healthcare. And here in California, we have a very strong statute that supports those kinds of documents. So it's a document that's similar, but it doesn't dwell on the end of life stuff that we older people might need to talk about and think about in more detail than a young person would. It's really designed for naming that person to speak for you if you become sick or you can't speak for yourself. So that's the goal of the advanced directive. The second document that we want to look at is the power of attorney for financial matters. See, you're back, Richard. Good.
Yeah, I don't know where I went, but.
You went into the Matrix for a minute.
Yep. It's all good. And so the second document really is for financial matters. So think about if you had a college student who, was really ill. Think about like meningitis or some kind of a long-term illness. In that scenario, your student may need to withdraw or do some incompletes for their various classes. You as the parent or the grandparent, you're going to want to be able to talk to the college. You're going to want to talk to the people who handle tuition, the people who deal with the professor. You want to talk to your professors too. So how do you do all that without the correct waiver paperwork? And a normal power of attorney doesn't usually have what we need for college, which is called a FERPA waiver. FERPA is relating to all the higher education institutions have to keep the student's information private. So we have a FERPA waiver in the power of attorney, but it also would allow the parent to handle dealing with rent, whether it's dorm rent or the apartment, and talking to the landlord, dealing with credit cards. So the two documents that are really the most important documents are financial power of attorney and healthcare advanced directive.
Got it.
Oh, I'll tell you, I hadn't heard the term FERPA before I met you, and I know this is on no one's radar. I mean, it's just such an innovative and wonderful idea.
Yeah. For sure.
So why, you mentioned the price. Why is this better than working directly with an estate planning attorney?
Yeah, so there's a couple of aspects. Definitely, it's less expensive, but there's a huge value for the quality of documents that you're getting. But also, there's a time factor. If you were to call your estate planning attorney, one who's pretty busy and successful, or as many of them are around here, it might take 4 to 6 weeks to get into their calendar to get this project done. So there's a timing aspect. When you use this service, you're going to be going online, you're going to be learning about what the documents do, how they work. As you go through the process, there will be some questions to answer. And as you do that, you're going to learn, what is an agent? What are some of the legal terms that we're working with these documents? And then you're going to, once you submit that information, I'll be able to turn that around within 2 business days. And turning that around within 2 business days is pretty awesome, because you can do it really quickly and you can pay online, and it's done. You get the documents by email. We don't have to have any in-person meetings. We don't have to have a Zoom. We don't have to have any phone calls. And you've got the information you need. You've learned what you need to know as a parent or grandparent. And you can then share that information with your child. Once you get the documents, you go get them notarized on your own. And it works great.
Interesting.
Wow. And you mentioned something about, you learn what an agent is. One of my thoughts was, gosh, if I don't know anything about any of this terminology, I might be really afraid to log in and try this on my own. Can you speak to that a little bit? Like someone who knows nothing about any of this.
I hear you. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why the prior method of, let's set up an attorney meeting. Let's talk about what is an agent. Let's talk about what an agent can do and what they can't do. How many agents should you designate? Can you have more than one agent at a time? And all those kinds of questions are what we would normally do in an attorney consultation, which would cost hundreds of dollars. So by walking someone through that, using the website and the online process, it gives the person who's going through that process really clear information about how this all works, so that anybody can understand it. After you've gone through the process, you'll feel very confident about how to use the documents.
Fantastic.
So Laura, I have a question. There must be, there has to be times when an attorney would be the appropriate way to go, right? Instead of just using the service. So how would parents know in advance whether they should use this or, hire an attorney? What are the conditions when you would want to have an attorney?
Great question. So for example, let's say you've got a daughter who is 29 years old and has purchased a condo or some kind of real estate, who's got a stock portfolio, who's amassing some assets. That's a person who probably needs an estate plan. That means she would need a will or a trust. Usually with real estate in California, we do recommend that we protect that in a trust. So anybody who owns real estate who's a young adult, this is only a tiny piece of the puzzle, and you're going to want to get a comprehensive estate plan done with an attorney, an estate planning attorney, when you own significant assets. But for a young adult who doesn't own real estate, who doesn't own, a stock portfolio, this is really what they need at the moment. It's truly incapacity planning as opposed to after death planning. When you use a living trust, of course, you do get incapacity planning as part of it. It's a lot more expensive.
Right. No kidding. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, great.
So I understand this is designed for California residents. What about in your case when your son was, across the country back east? How would it work in that case?
Great question. So the way this works is that we do have the full faith and credit clause of the Constitution, which means that other states will recognize contracts and agreements that are created and signed in neighboring states. Any of the 50 states, we're required to honor another state's documents. So that means that if I had done this before my son had gone to Minnesota, I would have been able to fax or email the document to the doctor at the emergency room, and they would have honored the California documents. And so the reason that this is designed for California is because I'm licensed in California. I've prepared the documents specifically with California residents in mind.
Mhm.
So when you've got a student who goes abroad or to other states, that student's permanent residence is still here in California.
Got it.
So it won't work for someone who's established a permanent residence outside the state of California. So if, my son actually after college, he now resides in Minnesota, so I can't have this for him. He's got to have his own estate planning from a Minnesota attorney, right?
Okay.
So you want to tie your attorney or your documents to the state that your residence is tied to.
And
And-
officially establishing residence, not just address changes.
Right. So if you
Yeah.
do have a student who has established a permanent residence in a different state, this won't work for them. But for most college students, they're going to keep their parents' permanent residence for the duration of college. And so it
Yeah.
works really well for that situation.
That's fantastic.
Laura, what about young adults who are not in college? Is there like an age limit, or does it work for people not in college? How does that work?
Great question. I've had several young adults use it who are no longer in college, and they love it because they've had that sense of unease about what if I were in a car accident? What if I got knocked out? What if something happened, a medical event or whatever? How would I be able to have my parents or my best friend or my significant other help me in those situations? So this does work for someone who's not in college. Again, if they have significant assets, then this is not exactly the right fit for them.
Mhm.
But if they're just starting out or they're working, we do have probate avoidance devices we can use too. For example, if someone's got a nice big savings account, they could put a beneficiary on that. I'll call it TOD, transfer on death, or POD, payable on death. So they could have that bank account or brokerage account go to their parent or whoever. But if the young adult is married, that's a sign they really should have their own estate plan with their spouse, and that should be a comprehensive estate plan. This is really not for that situation. So someone who's unmarried, someone who is comfortable with the way their other assets are handled, or who doesn't have significant assets, this is really what that's for.
And I think it's interesting to help folks understand that we don't think about it as an age limit, but more of a status change. You either get married or your net worth status changes, and that is the trigger to broaden your estate plan.
That's really true. So technically, when I say the word young adult, that I think of somebody under 30, but there are 30-somethings who would qualify for this, and it might be really great for them to have this in place if they're worried or if they have some sort of a medical condition that would cause them to be concerned that they might pass out from time to time. This works really well for that situation.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah.
So I understand this is a new thing, but I know you've got some raving fans already. What are people saying about it? And can you share some success stories that you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm seeing is that parents are, once they realize that this is an issue, they are thrilled to be able to have these documents and get the peace of mind. Because what I'm getting from people is that this was super easy. Several people have told me that it takes under 15 minutes, and one said it took me 5 minutes to do it.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, 5 minutes is amazing. And that's just because they had the contact information for the people that were going to be agents. They had that handy. So if you can even do it from your mobile phone if you want to. So it's actually very simple to get started, and it just takes a few minutes to do that. And then wait for me, get the documents ready. I will get them ready in a couple of days for you. And then you can go get them notarized. So people are talking about how easy it is and how they feel that relief that they're not scared or worried anymore, that they will be in a problem situation,
Yeah.
Everybody worries, especially when their high school senior is graduating and they're heading off to college, especially away from home for the first time. There's that sense of, wow, they're leaving the nest. It's a little scary because you hope you've done everything you can to instill in them, good traits, good habits, safety precautions, and things like that. But there are things that are out of your child's control. Even though they may be the most responsible student around, they might find themselves in a car that gets hit by another car, and they may find themselves in the hospital from that reason. They might fall down or trip on something, have a concussion. There could be medical events that go on. There's just so many things that happen. So I'm hearing from parents that they just have that sense of peace once they get this done. And that is what makes me so happy, because I think that that's what it's all about, is allowing for parents to continue to help their kids if there's a need. It just sets everything up for a good result. And it also makes the kids feel comfortable too, because as we know, that cerebral cortex, executive function, what do they say? You have to be 26 before the brain is fully developed for executive function. So, we may have a very wise and responsible young person who's off to college, but they still might do something really stupid.
Of course.
And things happen. So this is a way to have a great backup plan, knowing that you can still be involved in their lives, take care of finances for them, take care of medical decisions for them if they need it.
God.
I was going to say, as a veteran, parent who had 5 children leave the nest, it never gets any easier. It's always terrifying, And some of my kids, their cerebral cortex didn't develop until they were like 40, actually. So you never know.
Hope they're not watching
Laura,
today.
Remind us, Laura. Yeah, they probably will. I'll probably hear about it. Remind us what this service costs, and then also what's the best way for our viewers and listeners to contact you.
Yeah, thank you. So generally, the what people expect to pay for this type of thing, if they go to an attorney, is well over $1,000. It could be more. And so the price point is $275. And
what?
somebody,
Great.
Great. So if
That's
somebody
amazing.
has multiple young adults, there's going to be a discount for that.
Wow.
As long as they're using the same agents to make the document preparation simpler for me, then they are going to get a discount for multiple kids. So, I'm trying to price it in a way that it's very reasonable for people, and there's really no reason to put it off. So the way you find me and find the service is you go to the website, which is scholar-shield.com. And once you go there, you can read more details about it. There's frequently asked questions there. There's testimonials there. We're getting some good client reviews and feedback. We've got all 5-star reviews so far, which makes me really happy. I think I've dialed it in by now. So we did the beta testing, and we've really refined it to make it just as simple and clean as possible for everybody to use. So I'm really looking forward to be able to help a lot of California parents, but also thinking about, grandparents. This is a great way to help their grandkids get a good start when they turn 18, or as a college graduation gift. This could be something that a grandparent could sit down and say, okay, you're a true adult now. You've got to do some legal documents. And this is the responsible thing to do. And I'm finding that the kids are thrilled. Like there's no pushback from the kids.
Wow, that's interesting.
Thinking back, I think it would have been nice to know that, if a doctor calls my mother, she'll be able to talk to him. I mean, when 20 years ago, it wasn't on my radar at all that this would be an issue. And so I could see that. And what perfect timing to be talking about this with everybody graduating, from high school right now. It is a great time to grandma and grandpa get on there, for $275. You could take care of this for the family.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
That's great.
That's right. Yeah, so I think that it's something that is only going to grow as more people find out about it, and I think that so many people don't know. So I just really appreciate the opportunity to share what the problem is, so people can realize how to fix it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I was really struck as
Wonderful.
you started talking to me about this in one of our business groups, and I just thought, gosh, often we have guests on here and we say things like, "Please talk to your advisor or your CPA before doing this." And for once, I'm saying, go run to your computer right now, type in Scholar Shield, and get this going for your adult children. This is a fantastic service, extremely reputable. I've known Laura in the community for a while now, and this is one time when we are actually recommending that you go get this done.
Yeah. It's like having your kid not have car insurance or something. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
Once you know about the risk, you've got to address it. You really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder if any questions came in from the audience before we wrap up. Nothing today. Okay. Well, Laura, thank you again so much for joining us to talk about Scholar Shield and the ways in which parents can continue to take care of their adult children. It's a phenomenal and innovative service that you've created. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for doing this for families at a price point where it's really accessible for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. We congratulate you, Laura.
Well, I appreciate it. And I thank you for the opportunity to talk with you about it. And I look forward to working with you both in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, if you have any questions or comments, either for us or if you would like us to introduce you to Laura, you can write to us at info@aplaceofpossibility.com. If you would like to schedule a consultation, you can click on the link in the show notes to access our calendars. We can also introduce you to Laura if you'd like an appointment with her. We are still offering a free copy of the ebook, The Investment Answer, which is about evidence-based investing, and it's how we invest our clients' portfolios. It's a very easy to digest guide on how to do that. We're happy to send you a copy of that if you write to us.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And until then, remember, you're invested and so are we. Take care.
Bye, everyone.